All right, I did it. I pulled an Amy Farrah Fowler a few times. Damn it. Damn it. Shit.
There goes my wonderful. You just upstage my joke.
If I represent, yo.
I was gonna write you an email, but I'm a little drunk and spelling is a sober person's game. So I feel I owe you an explanation. I'm sorry. Explanation.
I'm going to do it anyway because I worked on that one.
Do it anyway.
Let's
start over.
Do you want to do the rewind noise this time? Okay, that actually sounded a little like a TARDIS, but we're not supposed to be digressing too much. Welcome back for the second time. It is I, your master of martial arts, the know-it-all of kaiju. I know know-it-all begins with a K, you just don't hear it. X7, the host. And with me, the host of GD Explanations, with me as always is the mistress of martial arts and mystical ability. I still forgot the W. The sorcerer super, the super sorceress. She actually has a cape, I've seen it. And of course, the arcane agent of awesome. This is now non-existent, but Amy Farrah Fowler. I mean Lilith Draco.
Hi, welcome back.
She's also the princess of Packies.
Again, too.
We've got beat her. There's a 3-parter coming up in the shorts. So Lilith, well, let's just get right into it.
Yes.
What are you drinking today?
So tonight I am drinking Escape to Colorado IPA. Because one of us may, in the future, near future, need to escape to Colorado. But that's what I'm drinking from Epic Brewing Company.
Excellent.
Which is local. Because my liquor store has been piss poor selection. It is a 6.2. It's
good.
Okay, not bad. It's a good starter beer. Like starter as in the evening. A first beer.
Right.
What are you drinking?
And by the way, if you escape to Colorado, you will not be drinking that beer. We already know what IPA you'll be drinking.
A Maharaja from Avery Brewing Company.
Yep.
First thing before even saying hello to you and Agent M.
Get out of the way.
It's right.
Just have it waiting for you. Beer. Stop beers.
You open the garage. I'll text you. I'm here. You open the garage holding it. I will come up. I will grab it. Drink a few big sips of it. Then I'll say hello.
After the big old burp.
Well, yes, that too.
I am drinking this is a Black Butte Porter from, I can't even tell, Deschutes. And they have a decent, it's only a 5.5 because,
wow.
There's something in the works that's going to blow this one off.
I didn't realize that you ever bought beer that low percentage.
Occasionally.
I know it's there. I just didn't think you bought it because you had great selection.
Well, I do because sometimes when I go to work early in the morning, I don't want to. It just is easier to have a 5. Like the Guinness Extra Stout is only a 5.3 or a 5.4. This is or a 5.6, something like that. Tastes good, less filling. This is. Did I say it was the porter? Yeah, this is the porter. They're pretty good. I mean, it's good for a starter, like you said.
Yeah.
It's good Or first
starter,
beer.
a first beer,
As
first of the
second beer
evening
is-
beers.
The second beers is probably going to do me in.
Well, let's hope.
Well, it's 3 times that. So I've never had one before. I'm a little scared.
Excellent and rarsome.
I'm worried about winning I'm worried about losing the nerd off.
I don't know. In one way, you want to win. And when I say you want to, me and you. And in another way, you really don't want to win.
Right. Right.
We'll see. We'll see by the end.
That's true. So today we are talking about 2 monsters, 2 of our favorite
Yes.
monsters. And this comes from, well, I don't know. We needed a topic, and that sounded like a good one. That's what I believe.
Right.
So,
Well, and then we needed to narrow down to what monsters are we talking about? Because you could bring in all sorts of monsters, supernatural things. So we did narrow it down.
due to Miss Farrah Fowler here, due to, this is kind of a review due to, and he's related to R2D2. But did you go first, or did I go first?
I think you went first.
Right. Well, we can do that again.
Okay.
It's no problemo. My monster that I chose after careful consideration, we narrowed it down to, I think, human-sized,
Yes.
more relatable archetypes
Yes.
of what monsters and who really is the monster and what makes a monster. So I chose the 1954 Universal creation of not their inaugural science fiction monster, but their second one, the creature from the Black Lagoon. Because
did you do an episode about the creature from the Black Lagoon on your podcast, Zenorama?
Just recently I did, because it was on Svengoolie, and I can talk about the creature from the Black Lagoon because I've seen that movie since I was I was a very young agent.
Well, if the people want to get a deeper dive into that, they should go watch your episode.
It was just recent, and I don't remember what number it was, but in the 450s. I did an overview early on before I knew what I was doing. So, as mentioned, I saw it when I was young. It was an overnight stay at one of our family friends, one of the mothers that we rotated around through, and local Channel 2 had sci-fi flicks on Friday nights. After, I think, from 9:30 to 10:30, they scared the pants off of us with an Outer Limits episode. And then after that, they'd show a monster movie. And generally, the Outer Limits episode was so scary that anything you saw afterward, you were terrified of. But I might have been 9 or 10, between the 8 and 9, because I'd started to read about movie monsters, so I knew who the creature was, but I'd never seen the movie. But at this point, I mean, it's about a archaeologist, a paleontologist, some kind of scientist, maybe a ichthyologist, or that's a guy that works with fish. He's grubbing about in the Amazon, deep in the Amazon in Brazil, and finds this fossilized webbed hand. So takes it back to the marina in Brazil, where his former student and his student's girlfriend / wannabe wife, and they go and take an expedition, and also his partner, who's a money grubber. There's lots of things going, moving pieces here, who's also kind of in love with the girl of the piece. They go down, take a boat, chug down the Amazon into the Black Lagoon, and they're looking for just the fossils because they don't know there's one alive, but we do because he's killed 2 guys already because they threw a lamp at him. So he might not have been trying to kill him, but they threw a lamp at him and tried to set him on fire. So what are you going to do? So already you're kind of feeling sorry for the creature who was minding his own business. until he saw the woman, and as with Kong and I think in the line in Beauty and the Beast, once he looked upon the woman, he was as if one dead. So
Yes.
you go through that, but the creature is an iconic monster because it's lonely. We're assuming it's a him because he's attracted to the woman, but he's he's amphibious. So is he? We don't know if he's reptilian or fishy, Piscean. That's the word, not Piscean. Turns beer into water, Luann.
Yep.
And tell you what. So
I tell you what.
that was a theme through all of the movies, is that he's like the only one that they found. There's no mention of, has he been alive for millions and billions? Because they said the Devonian, which is the, pre-dinosaurs, pre-most everything,
Right.
the trilobites. It's just kind of a mystery. So you have a mystery wrapped in an enigma, wrapped in a riddle. Something like that.
Usually, if you have one, there are others. That's just like a.
Yeah. They don't reproduce asexually by themselves.
Right.
Through mitosis, where they split apart. We don't know. Maybe they do. But I've seen the movie a lot. Somebody on Channel 2 loved his Universal monster movies from the 30s to the 50s. Saw them. They were run a lot. We also loved his Japanese monster movies, so bless him. That was confirmed by Agent Brick in the 90s that the guy that ran them, the programmer, chose those packages, which, as a kid, you don't know anything about. You're just happy to see anything that remotely was genre specific. Saw a lot of not very good movies, but you see them at the right age, you love them, like this one. So
I've never seen this one.
Well, the creature.
Go
ahead.
The most I've seen was your video.
It's only about 80 minutes, and it moves in a hurry. I mean, from the start to and none of the movies are long. They got shorter because the first movie was a big hit. The second movie the first two were filmed in 3D, and the second one was the third one was not, and it's the least of the movies. But they just kind of run out of ideas. Somehow they managed to crank out Dracula movies and Frankenstein monster movies and werewolf movies over, with different themes.
Right.
But the amphibian, you're kind of stuck in a water situation, which is not easy to film around in. So
you're limited.
Yes. So one time, it's wonderful. They've tried to do remakes of it. The Shape of Water.
I think I saw that one.
That was supposed to be a remake of the creature, and they said no.
Okay.
What you're trying to do is nuts. Nobody wants to see an actual romance between.
No, I thought that was weird. It creeped me out. Oh no. Mm-mm.
Yeah. So he made it his own movie, and they've talked about it. And he's made guest appearance. The Monster Squad from 80-something 5. Only One Way to Kill a Werewolf. He's just shown up in everything. Mad Monsters, Mad Monster Party. And just cameos, and every comic book company has a sort of, even Marvel has their Triton, the Inhuman, who swims underwater. Yeah. And DC has something, I'm sure, but I don't know what. I've got Aquaman, who I really like, but Jason Momoa played him. He was outrageous.
He was the best choice they ever could have gone with to play Aquaman.
Pretty much, considering how Marvel sort of blew it with the Submariner in the Black Panther 2.
Oh, I didn't see that one yet.
Well, it's decent. I mean, it's that fourth or fifth tier that you're less like.
Yeah.
I don't know. The first one is good, and then that's like then he died.
Poor guy.
Yeah, Chadwick.
It probably would have done better if he wasn't sick and didn't die and was able to be in the second one.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, because they have to find a replacement or recast him, and geez, that's a tough road to hoe.
Yeah.
And you could do it with the Hulk, I guess, and with Rhodey. Rhodey got recast from his first.
They did it with the Hulk like 3 or 4 times, and it was fine. No one really likes the Hulk main character movies. He's the best as a side character. And so you can change the
He's
side characters
the best
willy-nilly and
as a
be
co-star.
fine.
I'd say as a co-star. Because he, was in the She-Hulk series and was great because he got to be funny. And I really loved that series. Apparently I like green things, but it's not easy. And speaking of green things, but so that's The Creature. I love The Creature. I have them on Blu-ray, which is not out here because I used it and then put it away.
Yeah.
I didn't realize Amy Farrah Fowler had pulled a Amy Farrah Fowler. So, Lil,
Yeah.
what did you decide? He said like he doesn't know already.
Hey. So for this, we all know my very favorite monster are vampires. Not the sparkly kind, but I don't want to talk about those. I want to talk about another monster that came from a novel written by Robert Louis Stevenson in 1886, and it's The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So one of the things I like about this is the book, and you see them as side characters, co-stars in other movies. I've never seen one where they're like the main monster in the movie, but I've always enjoyed seeing them as a part of a movie, a monster movie. So the book actually, and the whole idea of them, explores the complexity of human nature and the dangers of science. Dr. Jekyll is a well-respected scientist, and he uses science to create an alter ego, a darker side of him that he would be shunned for in the time that was written, for having those fantasies, thoughts, feelings. Jekyll initially intended to free his good side, but instead unleashes Hyde, who is his darker side. And so it shows the duality of human nature. We all have this front that we put on, our best side, if you will, and we tend to, as humans, keep those darker sides a little bit hidden. So it highlights the struggle between good and evil and the dangers of suppressing these conflicting sides of ourselves. So it's basically good versus evil, light versus dark. I love the balance, the Jedi, the Sith. I've always been about that balance.
The yin and the yang.
Yes, that's a better way to put it. Less nerdy way to put it. Have you?
That's the martial artist in me coming out.
Jekyll's attempt to suppress his evil side by creating Hyde ultimately leads to the complete takeover by Hyde, demonstrating the dangers of denying or repressing parts of oneself. The story critiques Victorian society's emphasis on appearances and the suppression of natural desires. So creating Mr. Hyde allowed him to do that without jeopardizing his reputation, because reputation, more so back then, was everything. So it also talks about science and the limits that science should go to. Just because science can do something doesn't mean they should. Jekyll's scientific experiments went horribly wrong, highlighting the potential dangers of unchecked scientific ambition and the importance of ethical consideration. So in the end, Jekyll's experiment ultimately destroys him.
Well, it's fascinating. I mean, I've seen several of the movie versions. Frederick March, Lionel Barrymore, Abbott and Costello meet Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde with the wonderful Boris Karloff as Dr. Jekyll and his stunt double in a mask as Mr. Hyde. And even in that comedy sort of thing, it's still the present that he's dangerous because he's trying to do something he shouldn't, trying to separate a good self and a bad self. And anytime they try to do that, I would be interested in your reaction to some of the movies. In the first movie was from like I want to say early on in Silent. I think that was one of the Barrymores, one of Drew's relatives,
Grandfather fought, yeah.
somebody, and they did his transformation without makeup because
Oh.
and Lon Chaney didn't do that in the original when he had Phantom of the Opera and The Hunchback, but they did it with they did it with lighting because you can shine a different color light. That's the way I learned to do it in stage makeup because it was a stage play as well, I believe. So he would fall down and he'd mess his hair up and it would. So he'd change right there on the camera, which is just astounding to think of for 1920s. They did explain. They tried to. I mean, the movies always change stuff, and they once said the evil was in. They had after he took his injection or potion or whatever he did, that they superimposed a giant spider walking along and sinking into him as kind of why. But spiders aren't inherently evil either. They're just creepy.
Right.
Coming from someone who loves Spider-Man. So I'd be interested in your reactions to some of them. I mean, some of them, the 30s and the 40s versions are going to be staid, more, more calm and more sedate. But sometimes they do get into more thoughtful, as opposed to just having some guy run around killing people. But,
right.
Have you read the book?
I haven't. It's one that's on my list, but I haven't read it.
He also wrote Treasure Island.
Okay, nice.
And that's been made too.
I do know that Hollywood is still taking these ideas and bringing them into shows nowadays, like Dexter, for example. I don't know if you ever watched Dexter, but there was a version of Dexter where he worked with the cops and he did the blood analysis from crime scenes. And that was his good side. He had a family, a wife, sister. He, was out there in society. But then he had his darker Dexter side, and that was the serial killer. Granted, he had a code of who he was killing, but that was behind the scenes. That was his darker evil side coming out that nobody knew. So even in today's shows, you can still get that whole idea of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
We were just talking about the Incredible Hulk, but that was Stan's inspirations, that and the monster of Frankenstein, or the creature of Frankenstein creature. So yeah, definitely. I mean, werewolves once again are balance, and they're out of balances because they don't have any control over it. Unlike they didn't choose like Jekyll did. He chose to experiment upon himself, which is something that scientists always do in the movies, and it generally never ends.
Never goes well.
I mean, in the movies, in the television show, the Bruce Banner did experiment. He did the experiment. He chose to do it. In the comic book, he saved Rick Jones' life. He sacrificed himself and brought out all that. So I've always thought that was one of the things that was missing about all of the adaptations, that the Bruce Banner actually sacrificed. He thought he was going to die anyway, I'm sure, but since he's got a metagene or something, I don't know what. But we digress.
Right.
I think it's fascinating. I think that, even it's always a duality of human nature.
Yep.
I mean, almost everything boils down to it.
Yes.
So, excellent choice.
Well, thanks. I thought so.
Yeah, you did a good job. I wonder if any of our first episode, the one that didn't get recorded, sounded like this.
I don't remember.
I don't either. Well,
all right.
Before we wander too far off topic, I think we should wrap things up.
Yes.
So, how do we wrap things up? Jeez.
I don't know.
Generally way too awesome by the end of you may have to wrap up the next episode. But
we'll see.
Thank you for watching. We do hope you've liked, shared, and subscribed, and left a comment, and watched as long as humanly possible. 5 or 6 minutes at least, but we're really funny and we're really awesome. So you're missing out if you don't watch till the end, because we have all these funny little things that we say. Just trust us. Accept the word of one who knows. But this is X7, along with my wonderful co-host,
Lilith Draco.
we're signing off. Be seeing you.
Live long and prosper.
I got beer.
I got bottled breast milk.
Why don't we start with the beer?
Okay.
Do you like the beer?
I do. Although it's actually a lager.
Huh. What's the difference between beer and lager?
I don't know. We could look it up.